Hello, this is Dr. Uzo, the Water Guy. This is broadcast number 6. In this broadcast, I will present to you the reasons why I feel and do believe very strongly that providing drinking water that is free from lead contamination should be a right guaranteed to every child, indeed, a birthright guaranteed through concerted efforts by all the stakeholders in the health and well-being of a child. A right also preserved and sustained by a proper degree of awareness of the dangerous health risks of lead poisoning, plus adequate attention to the quality of water supplied to our neighborhoods and communities, and through the willingness and commitment to invest the necessary resources for eliminating lead in drinking water wherever it occurs. So part of my task in this broadcast is to convince you to take action. That in addition to the hardworking personnel of the water districts, water agencies, that you, the stakeholders, in particular, parents, homeowners associations, school districts, mayors, and other community leaders should learn about drinking water standards and be vigilant, get involved, and help promote measures necessary to eliminate lead and other dangerous substances from drinking water for the sake of their children. And you know, as an engineer practicing in this field for so many years, I've had the privilege of getting to know quite a few water supply agencies and the management, technical, and operational personnel that work in those agencies. And I can honestly assure you that they are quite diligent and committed to maintaining these standards and are responsive also to public concerns. But the question is, how engaged are the stakeholders, the consumers, the parents, and others in the process? So then here's my other wish. The other wish is for a more robust interaction between the agencies and the parents, guardians, robust interaction, specially designed to inform, educate, and reassure everyone about the efforts being made to protect consumers, in particular the children. So as far as action goes, I'd like to make a few suggestions to the stakeholders, the parents in particular, and guardians of children. Make every effort to educate yourself about limits of potential major toxicants in drinking water, which should include lead, copper, arsenic, and other heavy metals, and other substances, as a matter of fact. Get to know your water supply agencies and water companies. Participate in their public outreach programs. And get to know your water installations at home intimately, and a place of business, in fact. So that brings me to the main motivation for this broadcast, which is the 2016 public health emergency in Flint, Michigan, which came about as a result of high levels of lead in the city's drinking water supply. When the incident was broadcast in the news, I, along with the many other concerned citizens, became very worried about the extent to which the citizens were exposed and especially the impact on the children of Flint. And when more details about the incident became available, we learned that this problem started after the 2014 switch of the city's water supply from Detroit system to the Flint River system. And that the Flint River system had a chemical composition, a different kind of quality, and a chemical composition with high potential for corrosion of pipes. And this corrosion of old service lines within the the Flint water supply infrastructure led to the higher lead content in tap water in the city of Flint. So that means a switch from water supply that looked like this to one that looks like this in the long run. So speaking of awareness makes you wonder how many citizens of Flint were in fact aware of the switchover that occurred in 2016. Were there any discussions about the benefits of such a switch or problems that might arise, and what action items or strategic plans were in place to address the issues when they arose? So part of the intent of this broadcast is to call attention to the fact that public infrastructure improvement, the due process or due diligence involved in public infrastructure improvements goes far beyond the technical and fiduciary considerations to involve things as simple as public outreach and involvement. But Flint led to unintended consequences, undesirable results, and children were exposed. And the potential is there that a lot of these kids will have lead in their bodies, including their brain. And for a time, it looked like Flint was a unique occurrence until recent similar situations appeared in news reports, including this particular report by Reuters, which indicated that up to 13.6% of blood tests on children under 6 years of age came back high in California. And this is as compared to 5% in Flint. The same report also stated that at least 29 neighborhoods in California where similar tests were conducted showed high lead levels, as high as was detected in the children in Flint. And yes, a graphic that was published along with that Reuters report showed that major cities of California, including San Diego, Los Angeles, San Francisco, Oakland, have neighborhoods with elevated levels of lead in children. Not only that, across the United States, the same issue in about 3,000 other parts of the country, reporting that up to 1,100 of these communities have lead levels in children that is about 4 times the level detected in Flint. And all that makes you wonder the extent and degree of exposure to children across the United States, not to even mention the rest of the world. And makes you wonder if we have actually found the bottom of this problem. And not only that, the one thing to note is that lead is a risk to everybody, not just to children. I am emphasizing the case for the children because children 6 years and under are mostly at risk for lead poisoning because during that age, their brain is actively developing. And we have to do everything we can to protect any health impact on these children as a result of this exposure at that age mostly. So I do submit to you that we do have a very serious public health challenge confronting us, one that has a far-reaching health consequences for everybody, but especially for the children. And so we must continue to find a way to raise the awareness to the proper level. And I will continue that discussion about awareness by mentioning some of the ways that lead finds its way into our body, primarily through drinking water, and for children through drinking water as well as consuming baby formula mixed with water contaminated with lead. And of course, not to forget about older homes, pre-1986 homes that had the potential of containing lead-based paint in them. So ingesting paint chips and inhaling paint dust are also potential avenues for lead to get into our body. And here are a few facts to go along with that information. The fact that lead is a cumulative toxicant, poison, and that it's particularly harmful to children, and it's distributed to the brain, liver, kidneys, and bones. But let's go back to the fact, the point about being cumulative. It is cumulative because when it's in your body, you may not even know that you have it in your body because it gets stored in these key organs and the bones until the concentration gets to the level where it begins to manifest itself by way of symptoms. And that storage in the body is one of the dangers for unborn children because pregnant mothers, expectant mothers, during pregnancy, lead gets released from storage in bones into the bloodstream and thus expose developing fetus to lead poisoning. A fact should be a matter of serious concern to us all. And now the fact that lead is distributed mostly to these body parts, these organs and body parts, takes us back to the previous discussion in one of the broadcasts about the water content of the human body. And as you can see from this graphic, those organs have large proportion of water in them. Brain is 80 to 85% for, or more even for children, but for children and young kids, it's about 80 to 85%. Kidney, 80 to 85%. Liver, 70 to 75% water. It makes you wonder about introducing any poison to our body via this essential liquid of our lives, water. That should be another source of serious concern. And that the result of such a poisoning a vital fluid of our lives will eventually lead to a disruption of normal body functions and indeed human behavior. So therefore the goal should be no lead, and especially in children. Because lead results in these terrible symptoms: delays in physical or mental development, learning disability, low intelligence quotient, IQ, irritability, deficit in attention span, aggressive behavior, and then kidney damage and in some cases even hearing loss. And if your child is exhibiting any of these symptoms, the only way to find out is through blood sample and testing. And this is something you should discuss with your family physician to arrange for proper testing for your child. And lead poison is not considered safe at any level. But you know, it is preventable. And that's good news. Preventable and controllable by the due diligence required. Finding the source of the lead contamination and eliminating that source, or if not possible, to at least control the source and implement some regular testing, sampling, and analysis to assure yourself and your family that either the control measure or the elimination of the source yields an effective result. And speaking of sources, we're pretty much knowledgeable about the potential sources of lead. I mentioned pre-1986 construction, buildings and homes, that oil pipes and lead-containing material are major sources of lead, including plumbing fittings and fixtures and welding materials. And let's not forget about the lead-based paints. And how does it happen? Through corrosion. Leaching of those lead-containing plumbing fixtures and pipes and welding materials, soldering materials and fluxes. And this happens when the water chemistry does have potential to engender corrosion, like low pH water or somewhat acidic water or low mineral water, in combination with oil pipes and fittings. Undesirable situation like shown here in this picture, old corroded pipes, and perhaps lead-containing welding materials. Let me illustrate with this picture once again. Here's your main pipe water supply line buried in the street in front of your house. And here's the connection to your particular house or property, all the way to the meter. Sometimes this could be an issue, but that's the responsibility of the water supply company or agency. And for the most part, like I said earlier on, they are diligently controlling the situation in this area. That most of the issues arise with this private supply line and the internal plumbing in terms of the material of the pipe and the welding materials. This segment right here to all the way to the tap. And as you can see in this case, these pipe joints are welded with lead-containing materials that can actually leach out and show up in the water we drink. And so you see, even if it's okay all the way in the public domain, that this private area could cause problems, and it's the responsibility in that case, it's the responsibility of the homeowner. And that matter can be discussed with the water supply agency to provide you proper guidance and technical support and the selection of the right contractor to take care of the problem for you. So in terms of solution, the United States Environmental Protection Agency suggested use of lead-free pipe and fittings and fixtures, and use of lead-free welding materials, and regular monitoring of tap water, as recommended in the lead copper rule. And the lead copper rule, issued by the US EPA in 1991, stipulated regular monitoring of tap water, as well as ensuring from laboratory testing that the lead content of the drinking water out of your tap should be less than 15 parts per billion, which is a very low number. In fact, in my opinion, and in the opinion of many other professionals, that they should be zero. We should have zero tolerance for lead in drinking water. With respect to testing, sampling and testing, it is my opinion, well, it normally takes at least more than a day, because the samples are collected and then sent to a licensed laboratory to conduct the analysis and then sent back to you. So it takes a little bit of time. You want to know almost immediately what the lead content of your drinking water is. And that is why it is my wish that very soon, in the very near future, we should have available real-time, instantaneous end-user test kit that will enable you to collect the samples off of your tap, test it right there and then, and get the result and make a decision whether it is of the quality that you can consume. And I'll have some good news to share with you in that regard, that I'm personally aware of efforts that are being made in this regard, that I'm confident that in the near future, these kits will be available to you to make the process of testing your tap water easy and instantaneous. So with all that education, awareness, and prompt action, it is also my hope that we arrive at the point where we keep it lead-free. For the sake of the children. And we continue to maintain that deserved level of awareness about the quality of our water and take every action necessary. Thank you for watching this broadcast. This is Dr. Uzo, the Water Guy, saying, drink water for your health and conserve water for your future. Thanks again, and look forward to seeing you in future broadcasts.